actually deserve to hire the kind of talent I am. I was inhibiting my own growth by telling myself, oh, I'm only 5 years in the business, not realizing I have the clientele.
Sabah Mansoor, a truly acclaimed interior designer, and I wanted to bring her in to discuss how quickly a service-based company can also scale.
In the service business, every hire that you make is actually doubling revenue. If they are productive, you're making money. Mistakes are expensive. If you hire people that are actually good and competent, your profitability is going up.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the CEO School podcast. I'm your host, Suneera Madhani, and today we're going to talk about the most beautiful part of our life, which is our home. We can build really big businesses. We can do all the things, but at the end of the day, we want to be able to come home to a place that feels safe, that feels beautiful, that feels grounded. And today I decided to call in a friend, Sabah Mansoor, who is a truly acclaimed interior designer in San Francisco. And I wanted to chat with her about all things of what does it feel like to have that luxurious feeling for your home on any budget. But also, Sabah is such an incredible entrepreneur, and she's been part of some of our programs. And I've just seen the most insane amount of growth in her business over the last several years. And I wanted to bring her in to discuss how quickly a service-based company can also scale and how she can scale with that company. Today is all about grabbing that pen and paper because you're going to be taking a ton of notes, and I cannot wait to welcome Sabah to the show. Sabah, welcome to CEO School.
Thank you for having me.
Sabah, I'm so excited to have you on so many different reasons. One, you're just a stunning interior designer. And what draws me to you is the fact that you always bring your culture into the home. And honestly, as a child of immigrants and someone who was actually born here in America, I feel like I have missed connecting back to my heritage and my roots. And the older that I get, the more I actually want that connectivity as a mother. So like life milestones have caused me to really reflect back to say, I really want to be connected more to my Pakistani background or to my heritage. And I want my kids to also have that. And the spaces that you've designed are just so stunning and beautiful, but still have that element of home of what I feel like is there. And so I am just so excited to learn more about how you're bringing that feeling of home so that our audience can bring whatever home looks like for them into their homes.
You just touched on the essence of what we do. The essence of my business really is that I want it to be that rooted, grounded feeling that only home can provide. I always think of these homes and these spaces as like the backdrop of our life. This is the backdrop that our children will remember. They might not remember the tchotchkes we brought in from Home Goods, but they'll definitely remember how that couch felt on their cheek when they sat and watched movies or when they made snow angels on the carpet in the living room, right? The feeling of home. But the other aspect of it is that as an immigrant myself, I always wanted to feel grounded in something. And as I realized I was making my own traditions for my family, I was building a new subculture that was ours, having lived in the Bay Area, we celebrate everything from Thanksgiving to Christmas to Eid to Holi and Diwali. We celebrate everything in our home. And I wanted my children to also feel that in the way that they live. So I kind of started my business with that in mind. And now we've been able to kind of translate that across cultures. We've built homes for families who are European, like all heritages, but we always try to touch on that. What is your feeling of home? And I always laughingly say, I want you to feel like you designed your home. I love to come in and kind of sprinkle my dust, but when I leave and you walk through the house, I want it to feel completely like you and not like me or my aesthetic.
I love that. And I love that feeling of home. And, you know, a few weeks ago, we had Melanie Coddington, who is an incredible interior designer as well. And, you know, every designer kind of has their own style, their own feel, and you connect with, you know, their design style. But at the end of the day, it's your home. The energy that you want to bring into your home, the feeling of home should be yours. And she said something similar as well. And I think that it makes for any successful service-based company that's there. It's like we can have all the playbooks, but we have to kind of let our clients lead
100%
into what they want and what that outcome is for them, even though we have the playbook to serve it. And so that was something that was really similar, that she said that she wants to let her clients lead. And for you, I love this aspect of what is that feeling of home. And I think about that. I mean, for me, that feeling of home is peace, right? Like I want it to
Yeah.
feel at peace. But I like funk and I like fashion and I like, I want color and I don't want it to be like black and white and cold. And so for me, a feeling is also, of like a good energy of like, my name is Sunny. Like I want it to feel vibrant. And so not just for my home, but I also even think about all the spaces that I curate. And I do believe that your energy that you create in your home or even in your workspace is how like it transpires into the work that you do.
100%. I think that the peace of mind that you feel from a home that's curated for your life and lifestyle, right? So a lot of times it's not only about the aesthetic. I really want to understand, what do you guys do on a day-to-day basis? Like, do you like to hang out and put your feet up on this couch and watch TV? Or do you like to eat dinner in front of the TV sometimes on that dinner tray? Tell me about that, because then we can design for that. And it shouldn't feel precious. It shouldn't feel like you can live there. It's not a museum you're building.
Yeah.
You're building your home, right? And I think a big part of it is also the lifestyle. If I'm walking through the door, having that thought process of, I come in usually with my keys and my bag and all of these things, having a place to just put it as you walk through the door elevates so much in the day-to-day stress of life.
Yeah, the function of it.
The function, right? Yeah. So I think that that's the other aspect of design that I think people sometimes overlook in the aesthetic aspect and all the Pinterest boards that I get.
Yes, I'm sure you probably do get a ton of Pinterest board. And I almost feel like it's a fun element. I think we live in 2025 now that we can like scroll through and you can be inspired by design in so many ways, whether that be for like fashion through influencers,
Absolutely.
whether that be through beauty, whether that be for in your home. And you have access to now seeing all these different kinds of like aesthetics. And you're like, I want this for my home, or I want this in my closet. But it also adds a ton of pressure and a level of perfectionism that sometimes isn't like fully attainable. Like it's not actually lived in, or it's not actually like, you don't dress like this every day.
Absolutely. And the other aspect of it is the AI generation right now.
Yeah.
So we constantly see people like throw pictures of their living rooms into, AI Gemini or whatever it may be. And then they'll send us, look, that island and that color. I'm like, And that's rendered with a certain kind of light. Your window is not in that direction.
Yeah.
There is so much that you're just able to access.
Yeah.
That information, sometimes it could also backfire because, there are other conditions. And sometimes people don't actually read into that. And similarly, there are other lifestyles. So you might be loving an influencer who is, 5 feet, 12 inches tall. 6 feet tall, 5 inches. And also, looks a certain way and has a certain lifestyle and doesn't have a dog or doesn't have children and can dress in those pressed pants all day long.
Yeah.
And you are actually running to pick up your kids from school and running 13 different errands and taking your dog for a wash and exercising. You can't dress like that.
Yeah.
You can't live like that.
Yeah.
Everybody has to, it has to be curated to what makes sense for you.
It's an important reminder, right? That's also that influencer's job.
Yes,
that's
moments in time.
Those moments in time, the actual like design aesthetics of people's like homes and things like that, like it's part of their job now. But we live in this constant like, it's perfectionism. It's also comparison. And it does add stress. Like I will say, it does add stress and a lot of Amazon orders. So that is where we end up.
Sure.
Speaking of Amazon orders, we're going to get into the business side of your business because I think there's so many cool takeaways for our audience here. But I want to stick to the design side first. How does one, we talked about, when we're sitting here, you're talking about designing like $10 million homes and massive projects. And you've also done the smaller homes and the smaller projects. How does one really what are like the things that you can offer for the audience that doesn't have the budget to go hire an interior designer, but wants to have that aesthetic?
I think defining personal style.
Okay.
Right. It is really important to kind of develop as we grow as individuals, not even in the home in any way, right? Developing your personal style and being absolutely confident in the fact that if you want a red room in your house, you can pull that off. And thinking through that, right? So I really believe in that. Having real confidence in what your personal aesthetic is. And then I think then comes function. right? How do I live in this space? Who else lives in this space? What are the where are the areas that we spend the most time? And I will say, not popular opinion, but I believe that that's where you spend your big dollars, in the family room, where you're actually sitting on
Living.
that
Okay.
couch all day, every day. Put the good fabric there. It'll last you longer. You will not be stressed about kids ripping it. Also, I think of your home as a living thing.
Okay.
It changes, seasons come.
Yeah.
Just as everything else changes in life, homes change too. It's a living thing. It can move, it can transition. And I think the other beautiful thing about the way that we live in the world that we live in today is you can get beautiful things at every budget. My stylist goes to Home Goods, and I am always amazed at the stuff he comes back with. A little bit of self-confidence in what your aesthetic is, you could actually do wonders with lower budgets.
I agree with that. I mean, I do feel like if you also, it's like knowing your style, and then there's like things that you can get for your style. I also think that it's important to like have a personal style. Actually asking ourselves like, what is our personal style is such an important part of being a CEO. And I want to bring that back of like why 100%. This conversation is important here in like this room, and like why it was like, okay, I want to bring this topic to you guys, because a lot of you guys follow me or have followed along the journey, and you've seen you've seen kind of my style evolve, you've seen my aesthetic evolve, but like I do believe that how you present yourself and like or whatever, that is the energy in the season that you're into.
100%.
And as a CEO, more than anyone, you have all eyes on you. More than anyone, you have all eyes on like, from whether you're on social media or not, presence matters, and executive presence is a real thing. And you can teach people, you could be the smartest CEO in the room. You can be just the most confident in your product and things like that. But if you can't hold your own in a room, it's not going to work. And I think power, especially for women, I will also say.
Yes.
So I think that the rules are not the same for men.
I agree.
They're not the same. And I think that it's you're actually from the Bay Area, and it's like Mark Zuckerberg can wear a black t-shirt and, crazy hair and go get millions of dollars in funding. If I walked in with what my hair actually looks like without a blowout, okay, no, for real, no makeup on,
no, I get
sandals, baggy jeans, and I walk into Sequoia Capital, they're going to think that I'm like a crazy person. They're not actually even going to, it's not even going to happen.
Yeah.
Right. And so I do think that as women, this is part of, our power is ensuring that it's our personal brand.
100%.
And it is judged 100%. Like it is judged 100%. There are studies that show that women who wear makeup or dress a certain way, even to the office, get higher raises or will end up landing the clients or get the deals. And so your personal brand, your look, how you show up, that executive presence will carry in how successful you are.
I think that it also makes people feel, especially in our business, how I present myself is also, you're reading cues, right? I walk into a room and I look slobby. I have not made an effort. You're not going to trust me with coming to you with designing your home.
Yeah.
This is, in a lot of cases, the biggest investment anybody's making, right?
Yes.
What they invest with us in their homes. I do hold that very true. And I hold that as a standard in my office as well. I don't enforce a dress code, but there is an expectation that everybody shows up.
I think that what you're saying about your industry, and this is why I love these conversations, it applies to all of the industries. Like I think it applies to every single industry. And also it's a mindset thing. Also the way that I show up, even when I'll tell you, like, I am so guilty of my work from home days, of like what my work from home is. And I want to have a day without makeup, or I want to have a day without whatever. I'll tell you, I show up differently and I can get admin done. But if I'm client facing, like it does make a difference. Even though from like a business standpoint, you might be like, okay, Sunny, this doesn't make sense. Like from why does my space, like how does this affect our space? I really do think that even on Zoom, I recently had a coaching call, and it's one of our members. I'm not going to say who, she's going to know who it is. Her background in her home office. I mean, it was like her desk is off. It looks like this giant one color. It's the color of her company color. So it's like a bright purple background in the back, which great. Like, I love that you're owning your like company color. But there wasn't like a nice acrylic sign with the company logo or the name. It's just like this big giant colored wall. there's like a sofa that was like halfway off to the side. There was stuff on the sofa. I could see the mess in the background. And then I'm looking at her and then she's off camera. So like even from an angle perspective, and this is just, I'm not judging her. I'm just a mentor of hers. And then I looked and I was like, before you even book other client discovery calls, you need to get the space situated and or put on a background, like put on your Zoom background so that we don't see this around you. But I do think I actually prefer not a virtual background. I love when you can see people's like what's on their bookshelf or what's behind them in their office. I like feel like there's like personal stories. Like I do feel like people will ask me on, I think there's like this bookshelf that's right behind you, Sabah. There's like mementos and like there is like there's like a $5 bill that's on the other side and people are like, okay, what is that? Or what's that story for? I do think that it's so much better than having a Zoom background. But even your home office that you're working from home in, I think it matters. And it matters even if you're not like 100% if you're a CEO. Like you are being looked at, you are doing deals.
You're being judged.
You're being judged 100%. So how you dress, how you show up, even that little bit of like work from home, like party, like what is it, work on top, party on the bottom or whatever, that's fine. But that aesthetic does make a difference. And so I just think it's so important for you to get your spaces situated.
I think that there are simple things that people can do, right? You don't even need to like redesign your space for this. Lighting. Always find source of natural light. It doesn't have to be in your office. It can be in wherever. Find a source of natural light. See how it hits your face. You can crop a little corner in a living room and, throw a bookshelf over there. Style a little coffee table. There are many little ways to do it, but be aware of what you're presenting, right? And I think humans love connection. Mm-hmm. So if there is something that I can pick in your background, that I can ask you a story, I will do that.
Yeah.
It's human nature. We want to connect.
Yes.
So why not give people opportunities to connect in your backgrounds?
I think it's really important. And I think especially for women, literally what I'm telling you about how you dress, and it is the part of our world, and this is the world that we play in. So let's actually like be the boss of it. Like now I'm like, okay, I know how to play the game. I'm going to own it. I'm going to win the game. My girls can tell you, we can walk into, it's like a kind of like a game that we play. They will tell you who's the boss in the room, like who's like the leader, who's the manager, who's the owner. And so if we go to a restaurant, we go whatever, they'll be like, oh, that person's in charge. Uh-huh. They have no context. They have no idea what kind of like what the hierarchy is or who's the establishment. It's how they dress, but it's like the authority in the presence too.
Totally.
And I think that your home, like, and I love what you said about spending like money in the right places, because I want to pick at that. You said your living room, and that makes sense. Like spend money in the place that you live in the most. Mm-hmm. CEOs, spend money in your office. Like I'm going to like, let's like spend money in your office, 100%. Whatever your home office looks like, spend money in your office. And I don't know, I would say like your closet, like spend money in your closet, have a great closet, lighting. Things that you feel comfortable in, lighting.
I always say like, if you have a budget that you want to stick to, first spend money on things that are going to be permanent fixtures, right? So lighting, stone, tile, things that you're not going to get rid of very quickly. And then you can layer in the pieces that can come and go as life allows it. I love lighting. So I will always say it not only doesn't it make you feel good if you're standing in front of a mirror and you have that beautiful glow?
Yes.
It gives so much.
I think that the lighting piece is like definitely really good advice and very underrated for all of us. Invest in good lighting. And other like questions that I had for you on just for fun. Uh-huh. You've designed like the coolest projects. And I think it's always fun to take a peek into like other people's like lives and homes. What are things that people waste like utter money on that you're like, oh my God, I once had a client that asked me for?
Oh my gosh. I do live in Silicon Valley. So, and I have the fortune to be with some of people who have stupid money. So sometimes we are right now bunkers are very popular. So we are spending ungodly amount of money on digging very deep. I mean.
No, let's talk about it. This is fun. This is really, the lifestyle part of the episode.
This is a really interesting part of how people live. I think wellness is a big part of life right now. We're actually doing a very exciting project where one of our clients bought their neighbor's lot to just build a whole wellness facility, which is like a 5,000 square foot spa, sauna, like all of the things.
Yeah.
So wellness is a big trend that we're seeing. But I will tell you what wastes the most of our money in a project is indecision and bad executive functioning. So if you have a project, time is money.
Yes.
And everybody is ready to move forward and the client cannot make up their mind. This is where I feel like that's literally burning money.
I agree with that. I love that. Indecision is actually the most expensive cost, 100%. That applies interior design or not. That is just applicable to every single thing, especially in business. I think one of the biggest traits that like we have as successful CEOs or successful people, we're very decisive.
Yeah.
We can make decisions very quickly. Now, there are decisions that you should be sitting on, you should think through, but it's like, here's the process that I need to go through it, whether it's analytical, I need the data, and then I'm going to trust my gut, but you've got to hit go. Like you've got to make a decision. And there's no worse decision than not making a decision. Mm-hmm. And I find so often for women, because I've gotten to mentor over 6,000 women, Sabah. Crazy. I'm just now sitting with this, like 6,000 women through all kinds of our programs, retreats, our founders club, like all the things, courses. And I would say that is something that you just said about indecision on just like on interior design. But I'm talking about when we don't make decisions to hit go, our perfectionism and our overthinking and our over analysis, like the train's already gone, lady. Like it's already gone. Someone else has already done that. Like your competitors are eating your lunch. Like it is a dog eat dog world in business. And if we want to succeed in it, then we've got to be willing to move fast, make decisions, and making decisions without having all of the information. Like you're not going to be able to conjure up every single piece of perfect piece of decision making to have a guaranteed outcome, but you have to be willing to take that risk, and hit go. Otherwise, like, and it's the reason why we're not doing it is because we're afraid to fail. That's the reason why we're not taking that decision. We're like, oh my God, well, what if there's a better option? What if there's a better option? And we're constantly going through that cycle. I see that so often for women. And so if you're hearing this right now and you're sitting on some decisions, like Sabah said it, time is money. Make those decisions, whether that be for a project that you're working on in your home, or it could be with vendors that you're working with. It could be with your team as well. Make decisions and help everyone around you also be more decisive players as well.
I think women have we have strong intuition and very strong instinct.
Yes.
And I think sometimes worlds around us doesn't let us lean into that. So I think that just feel what you feel in your gut is usually the right way to go.
Yeah.
I've seen that in so many projects too. Like we'll start with one decision, one design proposal, and the clients will go all around. And I cannot tell you how often we come back to the very first proposal. It happens so often.
That's funny.
It happens so often, like 8 out of 10 times we come back to the first proposal. And it is just like, I have spent the time, like trust that the person that you've hired to be your professional, to be your team member, to be your partner also is showing up.
Yeah.
Right. I think that's the other piece of it, right? Mm-hmm. Sometimes when we are business owners, we're so invested in our babies that we are unable to trust that there could be somebody else also who could help.
Yes.
Elevate, move. Let's get things going, right? When you make a hire, when you trust them. Yeah. And if you don't, then they probably shouldn't be there. Because if you have a fantastic team, trust them.
Yeah.
Give them the resources to actually do their job and help propel forward.
I love that. I agree with that 100%. And you said something that I think we can move into kind of the next topic of phase I wanted to talk to you about was the scale that you've had, right? Like a lot of times service-based businesses are so time struck with the owner or the operator that has to deliver those services. Now, when you start becoming successful, you kind of go from that 0 to $1 million, the first couple million. And then you're like, to scale beyond the 8-figure mark, you can't be the one buying all the stone, rendering all the projects, doing all the things. And this applies to every service professional that has a service-oriented role, whether you are a social media agency, any sort of agency work, any sort of service, legal, whatever it is, like you become the bottleneck for scale. So at the 0 to 1 million to the 7-figure mark, there's all process, there's all these things, and you get there. But in order for you to unlock that 8-figure revenue, you have to remove yourself as the bottleneck. And you have done such a fantastic job of that. I've watched that journey, especially recently with you've got, a team, they're scaling, you are thriving in your creativity. I would love to kind of unpack that a little bit.
I think the number one thing that I shifted in my brain more recently, I had a friend of mine who was kind of ready to retire. Nancy, if you're listening, how important you are to this journey. But I will say that she came in and she told me that I actually deserve to hire the kind of talent I am or I want.
Oh, that is good.
Right? Because what was happening before
Say that again. That was so
good.
You
deserve the kind of talent you are.
Oh my goodness.
Right?
That's it. That's the episode right there. We need to stop it right there. That is so true.
Because that was what was happening with me. I was inhibiting my own growth by telling myself that, I'm only 5 years in the business, not realizing that I have the clientele. Like, there is a reason the clients are coming. Why don't I believe that I would also attract the talent I deserve? Now my team is 15 years in the business, 18 years in the business. Not that that's the be all and end all, the experience, but also I know what I'm looking for. I'm looking for A players. I'm looking for people that are leaders, and I enable them to bring it, right? So I now am able to play the role of creative director because I'm not in the weeds. Every single project I touch, because that's what I love to do, but I also love running my business. I love scaling my business. I love seeing the revenue goals being met. So if those are the two roles I want to do, I have to allow people to make other decisions because there are only so many hours in the day. And you taught me the 6-hour day, right?
6-hour CEO.
6-hour CEO. And that unlocked something in my brain where I said, you know what? I could actually do that. I could be a mom. I could do other things in my life because I deserve all of those aspects of my life.
You totally deserve it. And I love this. I love this conversation. And we all needed to hear that, like, constantly, like, even at every level, we somehow end up settling along the way. Yes. And it is our own mindset that allows us to settle on people all the time. Like, we do deserve, and people will tell you, I'm really not easy to work for. Okay. Not in I'm the kindest leader. I'm super empathetic. I will always make sure you have the resources to succeed, but I hold accountability. Mm-hmm. I hold a standard of excellence. And I will tell you that if you're going to come work with me, I tell this to every vendor, every hire, everyone that you work with, that works with me, I do hold a standard of excellence because I will give you excellence. Mm-hmm. So I deserve excellence back. 100%. And that is something that we somehow end up settling because we feel like that's what's okay, or it's our budgets, right? I know what she's thinking. I've been talking to you for 5 years, and the first thing, well, Suneera, Sabah, you guys have, 8-figure plus businesses, now you have the budgets to be able to hire those A players and those leaders. And I will tell you, my first hires were always still my A players, the ones that whoever you can hire for the right values, you can hire for the right tenacity and that culture fit, that competence level that you need at every stage of your business, every stage.
In the service business, the beauty is that this is not a liability. Every hire that you make is actually doubling revenue because you are charging hourly. So if they are productive, you're making money. And if they come with experience and they are excellent, they are actually doing a fantastic job. And you are not doubling up and doing the job for them or collaborating with them or going back and fixing what they made mistakes with. Mistakes are expensive, no matter what kind of business you're in.
Yeah.
If you hire people that are actually good and competent, your profitability is going up. That's what I agree with that. A real piece of unlock for me.
And mistakes are okay, right? Yeah. So mistakes are okay. Failure is okay. But there is a level of competency where it's like, okay, great. There's I'm learning from a process to make it better.
Yep.
And failing forward is okay.
Yep.
There are cycles where I know she feels this because she doesn't have A players right now. She's hiring contractors. She's like, it's a resource limitation, but I would rather have one really amazing hire than 5 contractors. Like I would really have one amazing A player that can then help scale than have 5 contractors that are giving me half-ass work through whatever that may look like. And so I just love this. This is so important. This is your permission to hire those A players. Sabah, 6-hour CEO day, right? Mom life, balance, 6-hour CEO day. I'll kind of take a minute here to kind of share the 6-hour CEO day with the audience. I don't think I've done. I owe you a solo episode on 6-hour CEO day. So I'm looking at my podcast manager. We will for sure do the 6-hour CEO day for you. But in essence, I feel like I have, when you're scaling from that 0 to $1 million, you have to play many hats. And so a lot of the time scaling productivity pieces may work in terms of batch timing, and you batch and you go into your zones of genius and you do the work and you're in the zone, and that makes sense. But when you are scaling beyond that 8-figure mark, so if you're already at the 7 figures and you're scaling beyond to the 8-figure mark, now you have teams, now you have people, now you have strategy, and you have, your own work that you have to, your deliverables that you have to do. And sometimes it's not applicable for me to be able to find like, oh, I'm going to take 2 days off to go batch this thing, or take all this time off to go do the thing. And so there's certain aspects that can be batched, but my everyday life as a CEO, I feel like I've been able to like create it into this framework called the 6-hour CEO day. So you spend 2 hours on strategy or deep work that maybe you need to do. And that's like your vision setting, that's your creative space. That's even sometimes it could be as simple as like, I do need to clean my inbox and I need to be the one to do it, but that's your 2 hours on your deep work that's there. And ideally, you're spending more of it on the creative vision strategy portion. And then you spend 2 hours of your day on client delivery. So whether you're actually being the one like delivering on the client or being the talent, let's say, of the organization, you are 2 hours of your day is outward facing. So client facing, investor facing, outward facing deliverable. And so that's 2 hours of your day. And then the other 2 hours, and it doesn't have to be in any particular order, is with your team. So spending 2 hours every single day, whether that's in your meetings with your team approvals, one-on-ones, whatever that is. But that 6-hour CEO day, if I can get 6 hours in that day, and that my 6-hour CEO day was actually designed because of mom life, because I want to drop my kids to school and pick them up, right? So it's like the 9 to 3. If I can just get it done between then, I have a very productive CEO day. And so that's the CEO day formula, which I think you've applied. And
we've applied. And I also, to just layer over that, another thing that I really enjoy doing for us as a business is that we have days that are just internal focused. So we actually do it. Mondays and Fridays are just internal.
I love that.
And then Tuesdays and Thursdays, we literally out from the get-go.
Yeah.
And then Wednesdays are our like strategy days where like my finance team comes in and we are touching the books weekly now, which is something we were not doing till like end of month, end of quarter, end of year. And I will say any CEO who can, especially service kind of businesses where we are billing constantly, it is so important to know your books. It is so important to know where the money's coming from and where it's going, because that gives you the power to scale. It gives you the power to what you can afford, what your business can grow like, and what you need to make that balance.
You're 100% right. And I think that everything you're saying is not like service or products or e-commerce. You need to know your numbers. As women, we shy away from that. And we're like, well, someone else can handle it. We all do it. It's not our fault. It's our whole lives we've not been brought into the numbers. We have to own our numbers. And there is no excuse. It is just it's just as you learned social media, just as you learned branding, just as you learned marketing, just as you learned you learned the 6-hour CEO day. It is you don't have to be the one that is running Excel spreadsheets, but you do have to know the numbers, where it comes from. And the only way to get there is by actually spending time in it. And that is a non-negotiable. And every you will go through, you can have the most successful business, and then you end up not being able to scale because of that crutch. And that is on you. That is not on anyone else. And that's something that you have to get comfortable with.
Getting comfortable with money is a very important part of it. And I think that that's the most easy one to want to offload. And, and we still do, believe me, I'm not running my numbers.
Yeah.
But the fact that there is that conversation that's happening on a weekly basis, it's top of mind. And everybody knows that this is a business and we are all invested in making it successful.
I absolutely agree with that. Sabah, if you could look back at young Sabah, right, who's just gotten started, what would be one thing that you would go back and tell her?
I think that I would tell her that it's all going to work itself out. You don't know what you don't know, and owning what you don't know with confidence gives you the way to ask for help.
Oh,
I always owned the fact that I came into this as a second career later in life. I was already in my late 30s when I started this business. And I looked around and when you are at a certain age, you don't care as much to say what you don't know.
Yeah.
And I think that was my biggest gift, because I had so many mentors, so many people in the interior design industry that helped me. I sent my first contract to a designer that collaborated on my house with me. And she read my first contract for me, sent back numbers. And then Nancy, I've just had so many people in the industry help me. We built structure together. I would ask questions. Who's the wallpaper hanger on that project? People shared. I think telling people, owning what you don't know, owning what you know, being willing to share, thinking of this as a community and not caring that this is a competition. Yeah. I think that competitiveness with other business owners actually doesn't help you scale.
It doesn't. And I love this. This is where we ended. You're so wise and so knowledgeable. And it is true. Just you have to be comfortable also sharing what you don't know and asking for help. It was a huge part of my entire success at Stacks. I built a tech company without ever writing a line of code. Without ever writing a line of code. We had literally the fastest growing fintech in America without ever writing a line of code. I did not know how to do it. I owned what I didn't know, so I can go find the people that can help. Find the people that can help me. And so this is so inspiring. And I love that success can come in every single angle, every single industry. And this is why we love to bring these stories to you. I know I definitely am obsessed with this episode. Your one-liners are so good. You're definitely going super viral. We're going to make Sabah go viral here.
That's hilarious.
I know I definitely enjoy this episode. I want to know, did you enjoy this episode? Screenshot this, tag us, tag Sabah's incredible interior design company. We're going to link everything in the show notes. So I want you to take this episode, leave us a review, and tell us what more you want to hear from us. What other questions do you have for Sabah? What other questions do you have for me? We're going to be in the DMs. We're going to be answering your questions. And Sabah, just thank you so much for
fun conversation.
What a great episode.
Easy.
Yes.
I was so nervous and this was so easy.
I love it.
I'll be here next week for my chat time again.
Perfect. We're going to have our chai time next week. Sabah, thank you again for being on the show. And to all of you, I'll see you next week on CEO School. Bye, everyone.